Stories are something that bring together people, not just from a culture, creed, or race. Stories bring together people from different walks of life and countries and continents. You cannot be speaking the same language, but there is this story that just binds you. As a filmmaker, I would say you need to have these antennas 24/7 working, not knowing where the story is coming from, and you have to like receive it. If we don't tell our stories, nobody will. It's sad that so many people take their stories to grave, and it's just sad. I wish all those stories were told. Yeah, I just love people who watch cinema, who appreciate cinema.
Lovely having you, Tushar. So, guys, this is Tushar Tyagi, the director of our film. Everyone just finished watching Saving Chintu, and we were like the first word. Okay, I'm just giving from my end. सबका पहला word था, यार कितनी cute film है. That was anybody who has watched it. I think that was the first thought they had.
Thank you, guys.
So thank you for making this film, first of all.
I hope you guys had fun watching. We enjoyed making this film. I mean, for me, because I live in partially LA, so I was like, how do I bring these two countries together and all that jazz? So we were able to. I'm happy that everything. It was right before pandemic, so I'm thankful that, because I was working on another film, so I was like, okay, let's shoot this film in 2020. I'm just gonna shoot another film, and my producers were like, no, let's shoot this first. So I'm glad we were able to pull this in 2019, right before the pandemic.
So how did it take to shoot the film?
It took a week. So we shot. We shot like for 5 days. We shot. Timeline that you see is the couple and Mira's timeline. Adil's was supposed to be 2 days, and Adil was like, you know what, let's do it in 1 day. And I was like, are you sure? He just in Adil's thing, I think we rarely took 3 takes. I mean, he is just like one shot actor. Like I remember तीसरा take मुश्किल से, first take, okay, he does, it's great. Second take, I freaked out as a director. I need it for safety. Third take we only took if there was a sound issue or there was a camera issue. So Adil ने तो अपना literally 2 दिन का सारा तामझाम वो एक दिन में ही निपटा के he was done. So it took us like 6 days, yeah. But lot of pre-production and 3 years of script writing. The whole jazz that happened was like, script writing was the longest time that I had to collaborate with American actor who's from the community. Then I had another writer. So Sayam Kori and I wrote. We took like good 3 years to brew it, because my whole idea was, I didn't want anything to reveal end before the end, and that's why we had to do a lot of brainstorming. What is Mira wearing? What type of production design is? Because I was like, I don't want anything to reveal the climax before it's the climax. I hope was there anyone who could catch the climax before the climax? No, okay. And the fun thing that happened, like we've done a lot of screening, a lot of festivals we went to, and everybody, the fun part was like and this is how people brains work. And for me as a filmmaker, this is my little joys of life, rather big joys of life. When people are like, oh, there's a dinner scene between Adil and Priyanka, right? So many people through so many screenings have told me, like, we thought these are going to be the people who will end up adopting Chintu, because it makes sense, these are Indian looking for kids. But later on they found out that he was a Chintu himself. So yeah, stories are something that bring together people, not just from a culture, creed, or race. Stories bring together people from different walks of life and countries and continents. You cannot be speaking the same language, but there is this story that just binds you.
Because
Okay.
you said it took around 3 years to write the film. I remember asking this to your friend Abhirup as well when he had joined us in a session with us. So I asked him that there's a difference between having an idea for a film and having an idea of a film. What was the process of these 3 years like? You obviously told about you know how you interact with everybody, but research process kya tha? What was the source of inspiration also for that?
So I'll tell you from the conception to the delivery. So how it happened was like, Sankal, I was in LA And at the time, it was worst time of my life. I had back injury, and I was seeing this. He happens to be top class, like world's best spine surgeon and physician, and he's in LA, Cedar Sinai, like very well known doctor. And so I went to see him. He happened to be Indian, so I developed then that bond with him and his wife, that we became like a family. And so many times, I used to go and meet his kids and all that. Just so in one of our meeting, his wife just casually over the dinner mentioned that, why don't you, so she, by that time she came to know that I do film. She has seen my work, and she was like, one day she was like, why don't you tell your story to Tushar? Maybe he'll be able to do something about it. And as a filmmaker, I would say you need to have these antennas 24/7 working, not knowing where the story is coming from, and you have to like receive it. So I was in my phone and I was like, okay, let's just talk here. So I chase him down to tell like what story, what happened. So he told me that he was adopted by American parents, Catholic American parents, and he was adopted from India. But in his case, he was adopted by straight parents, and in his case, he had, I think he had malnutrition and TB and all that jazz. So his parents, the orphanage that he was adopted from, they provided his parents fake certificates and fake papers so that he can escape the country and get that medical help that is required in states, all that jazz. I at the time I like this, I like the idea and stuff. So we signed contract. We signed freaking 30 pages NDA that I will never tell anyone the stories about this guy, because obviously he acknowledges what his parents did was illegal, but also that saved his life, right? So in 2016, I started writing the script, and then I shelved it at a point. Cut short, I came to India in 2018. I was visiting India. I went to an ashram in Rishikesh. And, I just wanted to detoxify just Americanness. I've become very American in my thinking and the way I speak and all that. In 10 years I've been living. So I was like, okay, let's go to Rishikesh. I'll stay in an ashram. I'll do some spiritual practice, blah blah blah.
पाप धो के आते
हाँ, I was
हैं।
like, ठीक है, थोड़ा देसी बनते हैं. Like it's been a while. So there, what happened? We had like a group, and in that group there were like 8 people. And सुबह ही 4 बजे उठा के हमको सबको garden में बैठा के प्राणायाम चल रहा है and all that. Just it was third day, and they started asking everyone, you need to introduce yourself, what you do. Like we had already done a little bit introduction. So there was this guy called Jeremy. He's one of the reason that Saving Chintu is there. So he changed my entire perspective. And when we were in the circle talking where everybody's from, and he was like, I'm Jeremy, I'm from New York, I've been living in India from past 12 years or more than that. He said since 2022, and I run a shelter. That was, again, my antennas was like, what kind of shelter this American dude is living in India. And I mean, I've lived in New York for 4 years, and I know somebody who lives in New York, for him to adjust in India is very tough. So now what happened was, so I went to him and I was like, Jeremy, tell me about yourself. What do you do? And he was like, the story he told me. So the story he told me, he was like, Tushar, I was diagnosed with HIV in 2021 end in Manhattan. And he was like, Tushar, I was so broken and I just wanted to escape Manhattan. So I took this eat, pray, love of a trip to India. And when he came to India, he went to different parts of India, especially in Nagpur. He came to know there are a group of kids who nobody takes care of, nobody feeds. Most of their parents died of AIDS, and most of the kids have HIV. So what he decided then, he decided to sell his property in America, buy a property in Nagpur and name it as a shelter, some shelter. I don't remember the name of the shelter. And he started taking care of those kids. At the moment in 2018, he had 45 kids. And I was just asking, like, being from the LGBTQIA community, then also taking care of kids who are HIV positive. I mean, that's just stigma plus stigma plus stigma, right? So I just wanted to know his experience. And the story he told me, he was like, Tushar, for 4 5 years, they were the local goons were chasing me that I am breeding and feeding the virus and all that jazz. And he was like, I'm New York tough. There's a saying called New York tough. And he was like, I didn't move. They wanted me to go away from the city. I did not until they beat one of the kids, like 7 year old kid, almost to death and throw him. वो जो बड़े वाले वो नहीं होते हैं जो टीन के जो कूड़ादान जो हमारे नगर पालिका के होते हैं, throw him in that बड़ा वाला, and he was almost dead. Like उसको बचा लिया जैसे तैसे. He that was the time he was like, I moved 30 kilometers away from Nagpur. I bought a new property. So what happened? He told me कि like I was home tuitioning them, schooling, homeschooling चल रही थी बच्चों की. Few social worker used to come and teach them. One day I was like, okay, let's send them to school. So he went to school nearby, and this teacher took admission. So he told about, I work for this shelter and the shelter for HIV kids, blah, blah, blah. So the teacher took admission of almost 20 kids. And when she was putting her name in the system, she had some issues just this with the spelling. So he gave her the card. So card पे वो HIV का logo बना हुआ था. That's why we have it on the poster. And she's like, why, what the logo is for, what is this? So he told, no, these are for the kids and these are the kids. So the moment teacher came to know that these are those kids, she canceled all the admission. And this guy is getting funds from America for these kids to get tested every 3 months, which is required. Indian government is not paying anything, and up-to-date medication. So then at that point, I was like, how about I change the story from straight parents adopting this kid to gay parents adopting a kid? And if instead of having him malnutrition, we give him HIV. So that was entire journey, and then how Saving Chintu came around, and we did a lot of research.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that makes the story very personal as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, I went to so many orphanages. I had never been to an orphanage. For me, people tell you, oh, this facility, that. But when you go to these orphanages, it's so sad. I'm getting goosebumps. These kids, they are huddled into rooms like cattle. एंड पता है इनका सिर्फ जिंदगी ऐसी होती है कि दिन में ये अपना गद्दा बंद करके उस पर बैठ जाते हैं और उसी कमरे में रहते हैं. दे आर नॉट इवन अलाउड टू प्ले आउट. इनका 1 घंटा होता है दिन में जो कमरे से बाहर निकल जाते हैं. और बड़े बड़े मोटे मोटे लोग कमरे के बाहर तख्त पे बैठे रहते हैं कि नोबडी किड फ्रॉम वन रूम शुडंट गो आउट एंड प्ले. देयर आर लॉट ऑफ रूम्स सबके एज ग्रुप के हिसाब से, एंड रात को वो जगह पे गद्दा खोल के सो जाते हैं. It's very sad.
Sir, I watched this film twice, and I like where the film ends with justifies the title. I like the storytelling, the editing, story part. And can you give an advice for a new filmmaker on the topic of production, distribution, and execution?
So I'll tell you one thing. Yashwardhan, first of all, thank you for your question. And I'll tell you one thing. First, production, execution, and distribution. These are things that comes later. But first thing is like you have to find a story that you believe in. That there are so many stories. There are so many stories, but I personally find stories that either move me or I find kind of solace in, or I find some kind of connection. And once you have written your script and everything, so like I would rather tell you, for production, you can like write script, work on your script, because that is the blueprint of your film. And if you want to make a film, just collaborate with your friends. That's what I tell upcoming filmmakers. Like a lot of filmmakers are like writing script, which is good, but I tell, get your friends, talk to your actor friends, go out. Like recently I and Abhiru, we collaborated on a film. We made it. This was our like, we were like, let's try and do this. We made a film from mobile phone, just mobile phone, and it went to one of the biggest Oscar qualifying festival. We'll be doing the announcement on 25th. So I would just say ki don't get into the hassle of that, the film needs to look certain way. I mean, definitely, but the storytelling should be in a way that it's compelling. First, spend time on your script. Like marinate it very, very thoroughly, because these days filmmakers, upcoming filmmakers, and a lot of filmmakers who don't know how to sit on their ass and work on the script, they write the script, raat mein likh ke subah they think, are chalo banate. No, marinate, let the script marinate, work on the script, spend good time on the script, then collaborate with your friends. If you have budget, then you need to go out, do proper auditions, hire a producer, get camera rentals and all that jazz, and then you shoot it. And distribution is, once you have your film ready, there are a lot of distribution companies, depending on the quality of the film. There is like Filmera, there is Short Cine Premiere, all these like aggregators. They take your film and they put it on big platforms. Couple of people, even during the writing process, like one of my biggest win was, and also as a filmmaker, you need to have your ground and you need to know what works for the film, what doesn't work for the film. Because while we were writing, we often had a discussion like, should Oliver and Sam at least have one kiss in the film? And I was like, I've been to so many festivals, I've seen so many films about LGBT. The issue with a lot of the films that I see about LGBTQ I plus community is that it's, I mean, the so many folks complain that we are being stereotyped and we are being outcasted and cliched and all that jazz. But so many filmmakers also end up making the film from the stereotypical of what the community is kind of put out there. Like there are so many films about sex abuse, like drug abuse and all that jazz. And for me, I was like that I want to make this film all heart film. Like it's all about their relationship, and I want to show that chemistry without even showing one kiss. And a lot of people after watching it said, yeah, we don't think that it required even a kiss. And that was something that I was very firmly, I was like, no, they're not kissing. If you put two gay guys together, two lesbian women, I know the expression of love is kiss and touch and all, but also at times that is not the expression of love on the other side.
While seeing the film, or agar aap, the very first thing is when you see the poster is saving Chintu. So everyone gets this intent that, okay, it will be about the kid. And when the movie starts, it starts with, on a different note, and Adil Hussain coming in, and we see two parallel storylines going on. So I wanted to ask you that towards the end, there is no aftermath of what happened with the two gay couple. So I wanted to ask you that from the very beginning, or if you want to change, and if you change, will the intent of the film change? Like, for example, if these two people are not two gay couples, what if they are two old age couple who never had a kid? They were living in LA and they're coming here, and then getting Chintu back to LA, and the story ended in the same way. Or it can be a single divorcee woman who is very strong and had the hardships, and ended in the same way. Do you think that all these situations which change but ending up on a similar conclusion, like saving Chintu, or they had a thought of giving this child a life, and ending on a same smile, do you think that the texture of the film, or the tonality, or anything that will change, anything that you as a filmmaker would want to add, or it will be the same for you?
I think it will definitely change. Also, the thing is, Vishal, first of all, thank you for the question. Also, Vishal, if you see that is something that was very intentional. Like the name is Saving Chintu, but first of all, you see Chintu in the end for just pick 1 second. So for me, that is compelling. And also when in the second scene, when they're seeing the photo of Chintu, my producers were like, we need to have a close up of the photo of the Chintu, because I was like, no, let's keep Chintu ambiguous until the end. Having said that, I think a lot will change, because for me, it's not just in a way, it's not just they are saving Chintu. In a way, their relationship is also saved by Chintu. Like these are two people who have their own insecurities. He has his own trouble, he has his own trouble, but at the end, go through that, they solve that, and they save the Chintu. And also, for me, the thing is like, I see it as a karma. Like karma for
Yeah.
me, the whole arc was karma being multiplied. They saving one kid who's Chintu, and
Yeah.
Chintu ends up saving two kids or
Okay.
adopting two kids. But yeah, if you change the premise of the film, yes, definitely the entire film will change. Ending will also change, but that is completely different film that we will, I mean, will explore. We'll explore. Yeah, that's gonna be completely different film.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
What is your
And you can
second
ask your
question?
next question as well. Yes.
Yeah, okay. So it's a bit it's not related to the film. I just wanted to when I was seeing the film, I was like um right now when we see films on this LGBTQ concepts and everything, what I feel, I can be
Hmm.
totally wrong, is that now the all the people are aware about the existence. First, we were not even able to accept the fact that okay, these people do exist. Now I think even like you said that keep the antennas on you and listen to the stories. So I think, like for example, with the latest film that I will say is like for example Badhai Ho,
Hmm.
Badhai Do,
So,
that's there. And then I think with the one of the anthologies on Netflix, Gili Pucci, if you have seen it,
yeah.
you explore the relation between the two lesbians. My point is that we have taken one step ahead of rather making this an awareness and exploring the intricacies of what these two individuals can do.
Yeah.
For example, in Gili Pucci, we saw a totally different, that caste thing coming in between.
Yeah.
Even though that's a rare relation, that's I mean, society will not accept you. Even then, there is a slit. There is a slit of caste system. In Badhai, though, we see a lot of people are still yet to, getting aware about their individualities, but then again they're okay of adopting a kid. Same with your film. So I'm asking that what is this space, are we going ahead with it, or there are more stories in this space that we should explore, or as writers, I mean, those who are here, if they're going to write, they will get more stories on this.
So I'll tell you quickly. I wanna plug here. First of all, if you guys haven't seen Cobalt Blue, that's
Okay,
something
yeah.
that you definitely need to watch.
Yes, I haven't watched
It's
it.
it's a notch up even than Call Me by Your Name. And second thing that's been crashing my heart is Heartstoppers on Netflix. That's also very something to watch. Also, I'll tell you something, Vishal. Stories come from us. Like society is the mirror of stories, and so many stories come from society, and it's a circle. Like stories come from society, and stories end up influencing society, right?
Society, correct.
Yeah, for so long people from the community were not seen, or they were not validated. Now we have I'm talking about the context in India. Now we have actually started taking baby steps towards to when people talk about LGBTQIA plus, right? I don't use that word. I don't use
Yeah,
that, it's LGBTQ plus IA, right? I call it's a human right.
correct.
I mean, there is no difference between human right and LGBTQ plus IA right. It's same thing, but also it's a boggy land. I mean, we guys need to be, especially in India, we guys for so long destruction was and damage. A lot of damage has been done to the community, to the image of community by just putting them under one umbrella. The people from the community are like this,
Yeah,
which we know how Indian media and Indian films so far have cliched
absolutely.
gay and lesbian characters.
Yeah,
But right now, moving on, since it's freshly laid ground, we need to be very careful where we are taking as Indian storytellers, Indian directors, Indian writers, woke, I will rather say woke Indian storytellers. We need to be very careful where we take, because I'll tell you, still things are not being done right. Like straight people are writing about gay characters, right?
yeah,
So things need to, we need to take a step back and fix these things. We need to be like, okay, if we are telling a story about a gay character or a lesbian character, we need one or two writers from the community, so that we can cash on, or we can include their lived experience. You cannot write, if somebody is not gay, cannot write experience of being gay. That's fully fucking bullshit.
Absolutely.
That needs to be fixed. And when you're going on set, you need to make sure that at least you are casting, doesn't need to be openly gay actor, but at least, I mean, now things are changing. If you're able to find a gay actor who can play the role, why not take precautions, I guess, to do things right? Because in India, it's a very freshly laid ground.
I don't have a question exactly, but just a small observation. Like there was a tiny detail जब वो ऑर्फनेज जाते हैं फॉर मीटिंग द किड चिंटू, जो वहां पर जो भी इंचार्ज होता है, ही सेज कि मरीज को लेके आओ, 2 बार बोलता है।
Yeah.
जस्ट पहली बार वो बोलता है, इट्स लाइक अ शॉक, जैसे उसको एकदम, वो बच्चा है। ये जो छोटी सी डिटेल है, जैसे कि आपने कहा कि पूरी जो मूवी है इट कम्स फ्रॉम पर्सनल एक्सपीरियंसेस, so did you observe it or?
Yeah. So I'll tell you, this was very detailed. So what happened is, like, just to give a little bit of a backstory. So before 2000, so Kara Central Resource Adoption Agency, this was formed in 2000. So before 2000, so 2000 से पहले कोई centralized agency नहीं थी. Each orphanage used to work like an entity, and hence, you know, पहले हम सुनते थे कि बच्चा चुरा के orphanage में दे दिया, पैसे कमा लिए and all, because they knew prospective parents from America, Australia will take them. Right now, after 2000, it's all centralized. They do checkup and all that jazz. So अब हुआ क्या कि and the story set before 2000s, right? And I needed to find managers, or what you call these people, who were managing orphanages before Kara was formed. And I found 3-4 people, but none of them would talk to me on phone. So I had to take a flight to talk to them. One was in Kolkata. I went to talk to him, and he was like, and we were just talking. So I had a lot of questions. So one of my question was like, कि जैसे बच्चे जो बीमार होते हैं, जिनको सपोज किसी को कैंसर है, किसी को एड्स है, किसी को कुछ है, तो सब साथ रखते थे आप लोग, या यू हैड सम स्पेशल क्या कहते हैं वेसिनिटी और स्पेशल मतलब फैसिलिटीज होता है? नहीं, हम रेगुलर बच्चों को और मरीजों को सब साथ रखते थे. And I asked him, like, why do you call them, like, ठीक है, I understand, but why do you call them मरीज? हम तो मरीज ही बुलाते थे उनको, हम कहते मरीज नंबर 1, मरीज नंबर 2, तो हमको पता है. I was like, so that is where that came from. So yeah, I mean, also as a filmmaker, you need to be very, I mean, like, very observant, or very you have to be listener. I take notes all the time on my phone. So that was where it came from. So when we were thinking, would he call Chintu? I was like, no, he'll call Mariz. So everybody loved that, and we were like, ठीक है, Mariz ही रखते हैं फिर.
What was your cue to the actor? Like, we have seen him play so many roles throughout, like side roles in a lot of films. But आपका क्यू क्या था उनको ये मैनेजर या ऑफिसर प्ले करने के लिए? आपने क्या उनको हिंट्स दिए थे? क्या बात चल रही थी उसमें?
So I gave him, so we worked through the character. First of all, he was like, and I come from my parents are first generation out from village. So I'm like second generation, but I used to go to my nani place and dadi's place. And when I used to go in Gaon, I've seen this. He was not convinced. A person who is drinking in a glass would spit in the same glass. And I told him that growing up, I have seen people doing that. खाने के बाद कुल्ला उस कटोरी में करते. गांव के लोग, they are like, there are people who do these things. हाथ उसमें मांज देंगे. And when I showed him clip of YouTube, and he's like, कौन करता है? And I was like, so we had lot of discussion. But one fun thing is, like, Siddharth is such a manjhawa character. Like, so many things that were not in the script, and I'll also tell you about Priyanka. So with Siddharth, so many things that were not in the script. He was mocking the actors, and lot of chemistry came out because I told him कि सर जहां आपको लगे scene हमारा थोड़ा छोटा पड़ रहा था. So I was like, sir, you can start mocking them literally. And he started mocking the actors, and actors in the moment had to reply to him. And the beats that you see, you know, the Panathas looking at the Oliver, the Sam and all that jazz, that's very organic because they didn't know what to answer. Like, he was making shit up and just doing. Same with the wife of Adil who played Priyanka. Like, in the script, I had never written names of kids. but you talk her about, you hear about her about talking kids and the pile and all. Actors are magnificent characters. Like, they make or break the scene, and so many times it's just, I let the especially with the Adil. I remember one scene was like Adil and Priyanka were performing, and I told them ki theek hai, I'll not say cut. You guys do your jazz, because we were getting a lot of material, and then at one point I forgot to say cut, just because it's magical to see Adil act on location. I mean, this guy has some kind of energy that takes you and you flow with that. He's an acting masterpiece. So it was a lot of fun while shooting on the set.
One is experiential, one is technical, could be
Okay.
technical.
Okay.
One thing, like just now you said, like lots of straight people are writing gay characters and all. So first and foremost, I do not take this as an assumption that it is nothing wrong. Maybe they are portraying it in a wrong way, but it's nothing wrong. We have seen writers writing fictional character, even though they don't belong to, or they do not haven't experienced that thing. Like for example, Javed Akhtar has written Gabbar's character. That doesn't mean Javed Akhtar was a dacoit himself or something like that, right? So how relevant does this experience comes out while writing, right? Like to imagine a character, or like suppose I'm writing a love story, but I've never been in love or never experienced love that way. So how does a writer or whoever wants to write can think and go beyond those measures and all? And this is what the technical part of it, like I want to do. And experientially, just a few days back, I happened to like talk with a girl at office. I mean, some different departments, a different company. So I was obviously I was thinking about like sometime I'll get time alone and I'll just have a quick introduction with her. Like something serendipity, it happened and we met at a shop and all, and and just took my chance. And it hit me so hard. I mean, I was so glad about myself that okay, I have broken an ice or something like that. And when I went back to office and I thought like, okay, let's capture it. This is how people write. So I wasn't imagining things. I took a pen and paper and started writing. Like, I have to write this. I have to like imagine this scenario, me being the actor and all, how it happened, just one scene, like how the interaction happened, what I was thinking 2 3 days prior. I was simping about her or something like that, and I was looking for an opportunity to talk, and I got it. So I wanted to, but when I started writing, I don't know what it came out like should I write it as a third person, should I write it as a first person, whether it came out as a story or definitely not script, that I knew, because script is very much technical. But somehow I don't know what to call it. Maybe I just wrote a journal and nothing else, even though I wanted to like write it like a scene.
So I'll tell you the first part of the answer of first part of your question is in your question, the answer of that. So like you said, Javed Akhtar wrote about Kabbar. For that, Javed Akhtar didn't need to be dacoit. That's right, because that you are writing about fictional character. But when you write about somebody's sexuality, or when you write about LGBTQIA plus character, these characters are not fictional. Their traits are not fictional. It could be a gay character does something, suppose, okay, this gay character, I'm thinking of some scenario, makes this amazing write this amazing novel. So when you get to the novel writing part, that's the fictional part. But if you are exploring the sexuality of the character, that's not fictional. So I'll tell you one thing, Shubham, screenplay writing or storytelling is a very collaborative process, that's why I have three writers on a 25-minute short film, because I needed to be sure that I have someone who has lived experience of being gay and adopting kids and all that. Just so we got this Corey, right, he's one of my writers friend who's gay. He has adopted kids, and it's also up to you who you want to bring. So if you are writing about a love story of if you're writing about a love story of a woman, of a girl who works at a bank, and you are exploring two arcs: her personal arc, which is the love story that's going around with another character, and her work arc, which is what happens at the bank. So you know that okay, you can write about the professional arc, but you don't have experience about the personal arc. So there you collaborate with a writer or friend who has lived experience. Because I'll tell you one thing: storytelling is something that you need to do research on, because if you tell stories, and that's what is the difference between good film and bad film, is relatability. It's very easy to be fancy, it's very easy to be rude, it's very easy to be whatever, but it's very hard to be relatable. You can write about anything. You can write about trans women as well. You can fictionalize the characters. You can do whatever you want. But when the film will release, you will get to know that where your fault lies, because it will not be relatable. Because as a straight guy, there are things that you do which comes from your bias, and as a trans woman, there are things that they and them do which comes from their bias, and also their lived experience of being outcast from the society and all that. You cannot be in their shoes. So there you collaborate with someone who has lived experience, and then you all definitely can fictionalize. You can flesh it out, but the structure, the skeleton needs to be created in collaboration with someone who has lived experience.
I had this question, like I think it's the second last shot, and Sam and Mira are inside the room, and Oliver is out there playing with kids. They are playing Ludo or Snake and Ladders or something. And for a second, he notices that girl who is grooming the Angan, and he's lost for a second. And then he comes back to the game. So I wanted to ask, like, does that scene has anything to do with him forgiving Sam, or like what was your thought process behind
My thought process was like, you need to build characters who are complex and who stand by what their character traits are. So remember, in the previous scene he says that I'm not sure, like, and when you cut inside, there is Mira and Sam, and for a moment you think that okay, Oliver didn't even come. But when you cut outside, that's his ego, that he didn't choose to be in the same room where he's not represented. But when he's sitting with the kids, and that enforces his idea that Chintu's life will be way better than what's here, because he sees girl grooming. That is for Indians, for us Indian, it's fine. Like, we in Gaon or in even Sheher, parents ask kids to broom and all that. For us, it's like regular. Like, but for Americans, things hit differently. These things hit very differently, and that's why that was my whole choreography as well. That Oliver is the one who brings Chintu to the room. So that was all kind of little jazz you were trying to do.
एक येलो टैक्सी था, येलो टैक्सी येलो कार का वो था, जो आई थिंक सैम के पास में पहले था, एंड eventually we see Chintu के घर पे वो होता है. So what was the backstory of that? What's the story of that plastic material?
So that was something. So it was like we wanted to establish, and that's not very technical. Like, we wanted to establish where in America they are from. So when you see of yellow cab, you instantly think of New York. So, and it was also my production designer and it was like very haphazard. So we wanted some kind of thing that the Sam or whatever gives to Chintu on the first meeting or whatever. And we were like, wo gudiya pe gudiya bheje ja rahi thi. And then I was like, no man, we need something like boy toys. So she sent this, and then I showed it to my DOP, and we had this idea, okay, this will also help establish the city, because whenever you think of yellow cab, it's instantly New York. So that was just that jazz. This is very personal to me. Like, I watch film from 70s and 60s, and the film, if we live in this time tunnel, the film are little flashes that that they are permanent there. I mean, if you consider this time tunnel, here is one film, here is one film, here is one film, the films that can inspire you, right? And people are like vacuum, they go through the tunnel and they go, but these film, if you come across, they inspire you. I see film from 70s and 60s, and director died, like I was born in 1990 and director died in 1982, maybe 8 years before I was even born. So we have literally never shared the piece of the planet or land or whatever, but his cinema goes on to inspire me. And I want to create that cinema that once I'm gone, say 200 years, 300 years, somebody in some century watching this film, and just if that could bring a smile on their face or put a little bit of a nudge that, inspire people to go get out, achieve their dreams. I mean, that would be my satisfaction. So yeah, I mean, storytellers are a little crazy people. Sorry for.
You have to be. You have to be.
We have a college project in the final year of journalism course where we have to make a documentary, and I was so busy doing other things that I did not care about it, and my group members just selected adoption, so I was like, हाँ ठीक है करते हैं adoption, कितना ही difficult होगा. The research was so difficult, and we made such a terrible documentary. All my professors were disappointed from it. So now my question is that when you were answering Shefali's question, that's when I noticed कि हाँ मतलब your movie is based pre-2000 when there was no Kara. And so was it narrative of convenience for you? क्योंकि अब तो बहुत difficult है जो भी process है, मतलब ये couple shows शायद pass हो ही नहीं पाएंगे उस process. Bribery is also probably not possible.
Not possible, yeah.
So largely was it a move of convenience कि पहले का दिखा देते so that we don't have to show the traumas that today's parents face while they are adopting a child?
No, so also it was definitely convenience for sure, but also it was about most likely it was about, because agar the chronology wouldn't have make sense, because agar hum 2000 ke baad ka dikhate, then obviously it wouldn't have been possible, and then Adil's age would not have been what he is like 20 years later. But also, to be very honest, convenience was one of the things. I mean, because nobody, lot of shit went before Kara was formed, and I and my team member were able to dig that shit, and I'm so sorry for calling it shit. I'm very American that way. Dig that stuff. And then, but also you find stories in the dumpster. That's where you find, I mean, that's the layman term of doing it. So many times the corners that we decide not to go, often there are so many stories there. So then we were like, let's just expose this. Let's show how things were back in India. Obviously now it's changed. It's also about what's right, what's wrong. I mean, there is no granth that is written what's right. There is actually I don't see concept of right and wrong. Like I often have discussion with my parents that if you see in case of Chintu, I mean, obviously, if you lay it out as a black and white, it's wrong to adopt a child illegally. But see what made that happen, right? And also my parents, a lot of times say, no, this is wrong. I consider myself a little bit more evolved than my parents because obviously I've traveled a lot and all that jazz. I come from a thought process that never go of anybody's experience of a situation. Generate your own experience, because things that didn't work for your friends or your parents or your grandparents, I mean, it's not set that they won't work for you, because you are a person of your own. You have your own individuality. You approach things in different way. And also, until you have been to the wrong side of the court, you will never realize what is the right side of the court. I mean, don't know.
The छोटा सा rapid fire था, which is nothing to do with the film actually.
Okay, go ahead.
Because
I love rapid fire. I love rapid fire.
Coffee with Karan moment हो रहा है अभी. मेरा भी और आपका भी. So just you can answer very fatapat, so we'll quickly do this. So what was the first film that you remember watching in a theater?
First film, Didi Tera Devar Devan. I was like very young, and I still remember the scene. I cried इतनी जोर से जब वो भाभी जी ऊपर से गिरती हैं. That is the scene ना जब वो उस पे से गिरती हैं सीढ़ियों पे से. I still देहरादून में देखी थी मैंने.
Yeah.
Okay, so one reason why going to a film school is essential or important for a filmmaker.
Because it teaches you the skill. I mean, Sankal, this is very important question, because the thing is, so many people think that you can learn filmmaking on set. First of all, nobody makes film to teach filmmaking. Like, film sets are expensive affair. 10 lakh 20 लाख कई बार 2-3 करोड़ पर दिन के जा रहे होते हैं. And also, if you don't know the skill set, nobody will hire you for the work that you can actually apply and increase your knowledge. It's as easy. If you want to drive on highway, you first get yourself क्या होता है वो driver जो सिखाता है learners driver, then you get your learner's license, then you get your license. So it gives you the license and it teaches you the skills, and also you are in same kind of zone which keeps you very hyper, like about all the other filmmaker friends and all that shit. So yeah, I mean, अगर आपको डॉक्टर कुछ भी बनना है, you some kind of skill set that you need to learn. So that film school help you with that.
Lovely. 3 filmmakers that have influenced you the most.
Del Toro, for sure. Steven Spielberg, Del Toro, and Anurag Kashyap.
Lovely. That's so nice.
That's why the look, I think.
Yeah.
Lovely. Okay, one reality check that you got when you shifted from watching to making films.
It's a lot of hard work. It is so much hard work. Like I have friends till now वो कहते तुझे करना क्या होता है, पिक्चर बनानी होती है, फिर सूट पहन के रेड कारपेट पे जाना था. I was like, एक बार आओ फिल्म सेट पे पता चलेगा. It's a lot of hard work and dedication. So many times people are like, I come around, like I get so many DMs and so many people are like, I want to go in films because it's fame, it's name, it's rich. I was like, that's side thing. You need to be motivated. If you अगर आप उसके लिए जा रहे हो, it's very hard, because that's the just chemistry में नहीं होता है, side equations or the side product. For the main product you need to have dedication and passion. Yeah.
Just one last question. What is that one thing as a filmmaker you would like to tell us as audiences on how to appreciate and explore cinema?
Just keep on watching films. That's the best thing. There are so many people who, I am someone who decide for myself if the film is good or bad. So many people are like, oh, don't watch that film, that's bad. Could be, but then you get to learn. As a filmmaker, I get to learn. The more things that I've gotten to learn from shitty films is way more than I've gotten to learn from good films. Just keep on watching cinema, and if we don't tell our stories, nobody will. It's sad that so many people take their stories to grave, and it's just sad. I wish all those stories were told. Yeah, I just love people who watch cinema, who appreciate cinema. That's very touching.